Good morning, everyone! On this wonderful Saturday morning, I have decided to make a new plate for my spinning top. And to add in some more challenge to this, I have chosen to use a wood that visibly had a crack in it. And to take it even farther, I decided to make this a two-tiered plate. If that makes any sense really. I'm struggling to explain, but you will see what I mean. So I start off as usual, making the top slightly conical. As soon as I have it looking more or less conical, I move on to the base. Mark off how tall I want the plate to be, and then I try to make the double-tiered shape. You kind of see what it's starting to look like here, right? I'm not sure if I'm doing such a good job or even using proper chisel, but it seems to be looking more or less how I imagined that it would. So overall, so far so good. And then once the general shape is completed, I try to chisel out, is that the right word? Remove some of the clearance at the bottom so I can sand and later on cut it off much more easier. And once that is done, I move on to sanding. The purpose of sanding here wasn't to get to a high grit, but rather to give these sharp corners, and you see they look a bit unsightly, a bit more of a rounded and smoother look to transition from the top to side. It looks kinda good. I actually got kids to help me here. 6 hands were 2 hands too many, but we had a lot of fun. So eventually we ended up sanding down to 320 grit, made the thing look nice and round, and now I just gotta do some finishing touches. One of the things I lost during sanding is making the two tiers of the plate more pronounced. They just became a little bit more smooth. So I spent some time just making sure that the separation is really pronounced and sharper looking than smooth. Once that's done, we started very carefully sanding it down to 600 grit so that it can be as smooth as possible. I contemplated to going to 1000 grit, but then I read that 1000 or more grit can't absorb oil. Do correct me if that is wrong info, since I wouldn't know for sure, but I didn't want to mess this piece up and experiment with it. Maybe with another piece in the future. And now comes my most favorite part, oiling it. I will never get enough watching how colors pop the second oil touches the piece. Just look at it. Once it has been sufficiently drenched in oil and allowed to dry, I use the gap I made before for a very easy cutting time. Looking back on it, I think I wasted some wood. In the future, I will make sure to make the opening just a little bit smaller so I can save on wood. This is the part I'm still most confused about. I can't figure out how to properly secure a piece on the chuck without it leaving any marks on the piece itself and at the same time gripping it tightly. But it seems to suffice. Just using this cotton rag does work. I make sure to triple layer it. So yeah, as you see here, I simply cut down or chisel down the bottom, try to make it concaved just like the top, and then I proceed to sanding. And I do sand it down to 600 grit just like the top, and to my kids' complaint, I do not let them participate since their hands would be way too close to the chuck for me to feel safe. Here I do the final touch-ups, making sure the whole thing is completely drenched in oil. I drench it 3 times over 3 days. Not sure if there is any benefit to drenching so many times, but I like it. And the piece is ready! I had a lot of fun making this and learned just a few things. If you have any comments, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you next week. Bye bye!